Welcome to One to One. Dr. Panos Zavos has been an interesting but highly controversial reproductive specialist for years. Headquartered in Kentucky, Dr. Zavos has received attention within the scientific community for what some call his accomplishments and pioneering ventures. His research includes human cloning. Is he a medical hero or monster? Dr. Zavos is featured in a new documentary entitled Human Cloning, and we'll talk with him next on One to One. Welcome, sir.
It's a pleasure to be here, Bill.
For those who don't know you in Kentucky or elsewhere, tell us about your background, how you came to Central Kentucky, to Lexington, the work that you do in your clinic.
Well, I'm here because of the University of Kentucky. I came here from Northwestern University Medical School. I've been here for almost 30 years. I've been on campus for 22 years as a full professor. Decided to retire and go on with different ventures, but Kentucky is my home. I love Kentucky. I love the people in Kentucky. And as I travel throughout the world, when I come home, I'm just like the Pope. I kiss the ground.
The work that you do, tell me about your work as a scientist, as a researcher in reproductive science.
Well, we do research, but at the moment, we're concentrating more and more on services. My work goes all over the world. We have open clinics in Pakistan, for instance, in Amman, Jordan, in Damascus, in Istanbul, Turkey, in Cyprus, and we're looking at various other locations throughout the world. What we aim to do is to assist people become parents. And because of my expertise going back for 30 years now or so, my training is quite unique. I'm a pioneer in this field, and people need my services, and I'm very happy to be able to assist them.
Well, on any other day or any other year, you might be here for those very reasons, to talk about the work that you do in infertility and the many other varied work that leads you from there. But you're here today to talk about a documentary on human cloning. Tell us how this first came about.
In 2001, we happened to be visited here by a very controversial and pioneer person from Italy, Severino Antinori. He's a good friend of mine. We talked about possibility of doing some efforts together, some research and what have you. Severino is known to be getting pregnant women at age 65 pregnant and that kind of thing. And he's well known throughout the world about his controversial work. We talked about possibly doing some work on cloning as a therapeutic means via which we can assist a couple that exhausted all other aspects of trying to have a child via cloning. And this is how it began in 2001. And as of today, we are obviously still working on it. It has not been an easy assignment by anybody's definition, but very rewarding, I should say, and I think that we're on the right track. I think that we're setting up the criteria and the moralities and the ethics and the science that goes along in this field to create a human being via somatic cell nuclear transfer, as we call it, SCNT, where we take a human cell, we put it in a human egg, and via a series of manipulations, and they're going to be shown in this documentary, we create embryos. Those embryos resemble very much other embryos that are produced sexually, and they're transferred in utero, and they give birth 9 months thereafter.
Well, you mentioned the documentary. Your work at times has certainly been criticized. You've been called names. You were at the forefront of a lot of this research worldwide. The documentary is called Human Cloning, and let's take a look.
To some, this man is a Frankenstein. To others, he's God. Over the past 8 years, working in secret, he's been leading a team into medicine's most controversial terrain. His aim is to clone a human being by injecting the unique DNA of an individual into a woman's egg to give birth to a human replica. His ambition has brought him into bruising conflict with mainstream science and ethics.
This is a disgrace, Doctor. 70% of these children, by your own words, would be born mutated.
This man's quest to clone a human being has taken him to far-flung, sometimes dangerous corners of the world.
He's very pleased to meet with you. Science has no limit, no borders.
Since this experiment began, our film crew has been recording from the inside this man's journey of triumph and disaster.
It's very difficult for us to tell what may have happened here.
You know, I paid $60,000 or $70,000. I guess obviously you ought to tell them, do not freeze the embryos.
What this man is doing could change the very process of creation itself.
I am not God, I just only do God's work. And if I have a choice between playing God and playing devil, I'd rather play God.
Dr. Zavos, the filmmaker is Peter Williams, a Brit who has been with you filming all of this since 2001. I want you to pick up the story there and tell us what you began to do in the early part of this decade.
Well, Bill, from the beginning, we thought that in order for us to be credible, we have to have a team that is the best of the best. Because very simply, even if you don't have the best team, you're going to be criticized no matter what. Peter Williams, first of all, is a classic documentary man that documented the birth of the first test tube baby, Louise Brown, back in 1978.
Who was Louise Brown?
Louise Brown was the first test tube baby that was conceived in a test tube, in a petri dish, by Robert Edwards and Mr. Steptoe in England in 1978. I happen to know those people very well. I know Louise Brown personally. She's a good friend. And we thought that when we announced that we would be doing this kind of work, when I was approached by the best of the best, Peter Williams TV in England, I automatically linked with him. And we've been together since then. And I don't think that anybody can tell this story with using the lenses of the cameras any better than Peter Williams TV.
What did he begin to film, to photograph in 2001? Tell us about the work that was being done at that time.
Well, first of all, he began to film the debates, the controversies, the meetings, the attacks, the activities all over the world.
Was the media hostile?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, you know, well, the hostility for the media was primarily to create the controversy and the hostility, so people would really generate interest so the media can sell the stories. So we were able to pay the price for that. I mean, you know, depending upon where you go, if you go to London, England, that is the most controversial and hostile media that you'll ever see, where you tell them it's 1, 2, 3, and they would report 5, 6, and 7. Because very simply, they like to tell their story rather than telling the facts as I present them.
What were you saying at that time? What were you, in your words, the facts that you were beginning to broadcast, to have news conferences about, the appearances that you made before